The cargo ship floated near the checkpoint station like a tired bird. Kang Minyu sat in the captain's chair, watching the scan lights move across his vessel's hull. His ship, the Soul Wanderer, carried nothing illegal, just food supplies and medical equipment. Heading to the outer colonies, still. Checkpoints always made him nervous. "Captain, we have an incoming signal," Park Jiu said from the navigator's seat. She was young, barely 25, but she had good instincts. Her fingers moved quickly. Across the control panel, Minyu leaned forward. "Who is it?" "It's oh no." Jiu and LT Unk and GT's face went pale. "It's Commander Vries." Every spacer in the galaxy knew that name. Commander Vries was not just any enforcer, he was the enforcer, the Galactic Council's most feared agent. His insectoid form stood 8 ft tall, covered in black armor like shell. His forearms could crush steel. His mandibles had torn apart criminal ships. With his bare hands, when Vries came for you were already dead. "This is Commander Vries of the Galactic Enforcement Division." The voice crackled. Through the speakers, it sounded like rocks grinding together. "Human vessel. Soul Wanderer, prepare for boarding." Minho and LT Unk and GT, hands gripped the armrests. "We haven't done anything wrong. Comply." Immediately, Vries said. The airlock hissed open. 10 minutes later, Commander Vries entered, and the entire cargo bay seemed to shrink. His compound eyes glowed with an orange light. Behind him, 2 smaller enforcement drones floated, their weapons ready. Minyu and Jiu stood at attention. Every muscle in Minyu's body wanted to run, but he had been in the Korean military once. He knew how to stand his ground even when terrified. Vraxis approached slowly. His eyes scanned both humans. Then he did something unexpected. He looked at his data pad and made a sound that might have been a sigh. "You are traveling to Haven 7 Colony?" Vries asked. "Yes, Commander." Minyu replied. "Food and medical supplies. Cancel your route. Turn back immediately." Minyu blinked. "What? But those people need turn back," Vraxis repeated. His voice was harder now. "Leave this sector within the hour. Do not ask questions. Do not investigate. Just go." Jiu stepped forward, her fear overcome by confusion. "Commander, we don't understand what's happening at Haven 7. Vraxis turned his massive head toward her. For a long moment he simply stared. Then he spoke, and his voice carried something Minyu had never expected to hear from the galaxy's most terrifying enforcer. It carried warning. Not threat, but genuine warning. 3 days ago, ships from the Talvix cartel attacked a human colony transport. They took prisoners 47 humans. The Talvix believe humans are weak prey, easy targets. Vraxis paused. "They are wrong." "Then help them," Jiu said. "Your galactic enforcement save those people." "I cannot," Vraxis said simply, "and I will not try, because what is coming is not something the galaxy should witness. Not again." Minyu's military training kicked in. He recognized the tone. "You've seen this before. You've seen what humans do." Third 14, Teen 14, Wine. Teen, Vries nodded slowly. 20 years ago, I made the mistake of underestimating your species. A human merchant's daughter was taken by slavers. I refused to help. I thought humans were too weak, too fragile to matter. His mandibles clicked together. In what might have been regret, I watched what happened next. I learned we not one to the demonic. I watched what happened. "What did we do?" Minyu asked Quietly, you hunted, Vraxis said, for 2 years across 40 star systems, human. Ships appeared everywhere. The slavers went, not military ships, civilian. Vessels, merchants, families. All of them working together, sharing information. Never stopping, they found the slavers' fortress, they recovered every captive. And they made sure every being in the galaxy knew what happens when you take humans. Vries moved to the airlock then. Stop, the Talviks have 47 of your people. Your Earth fleet is already mobilizing, but it is not just the military coming. I have intercepted 3,000 civilian transmissions in the last 6 hours, merchant ships changing routes, mining vessels sharing sensor data, colony stations offering refueling points. Your entire species is organizing to save 47 people, Jew asked. To save your people, Vries corrected. You humans have a saying, yes, no one left behind. The Talviks do not understand this. They think in terms of cost and benefit. They cannot comprehend a species that crosses galaxies for any member of their tribe. Minyu felt something stir in his chest, pride maybe, or recognition of a truth he had always known but never named. Vries stepped into the airlock. Before it closed, he turned back one final time. I am broadcasting a warning to all sectors, all frequencies in every language. His eyes fixed on Minyu. The warning is simple: never chase humans, never take them, never hunt them because they are pursuit predators. They evolved chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They crossed oceans and continents, hunting animals that were bigger and stronger, and in space they have not changed. The airlock began to seal. Commander Minyu called out, will the Talviks listen to your warning? Vraxis's laugh was like metal scraping stone. No, they are arrogant and foolish. That is why I am evacuating 3 sectors. What comes next will be a lesson the galaxy needs to see. Perhaps the last lesson, if others are wise enough to learn. The airlock closed. The enforcement ship detached and moved away. Through the view screen, Minyu watched as Rix's vessel broadcast a signal that lit up every communication channel in the sector. The message was short: Galactic Council warning, never chase humans, never take their people. You have been warned. Jiu looked at her. Captain, should we turn back? Minyu was quiet for a moment, then he opened a communication channel to Earth Fleet. Command. This is Captain Kang Minyu of the Soul Wanderer. I'm in Sector 9. I have full cargo holds and an encrypted sensor. Sweet, how can I help? The response came immediately. Welcome to the network. Captain, stand by for coordination protocols. Jiu smiled. I thought Vries told us to leave. He gave us a choice, Minyu said, setting new coordinates. He doesn't understand. When they take our people, there is no choice. There's only the hunt. Outside, stars began to move as dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of human ships changed course, all heading in the same direction, all moving with the patient, terrible inevitability of a species that never stopped chasing. Choi Hyun woke to the sound of screaming. He rolled from his bunk in the security barracks, feet hitting the cold metal floor. Alarm shrieked through Haven 7 colony. Red emergency lights painted everything in blood. He grabbed his uniform and ran. Outside, the colony's main dome was breached. Smoke poured from the residential sector. People ran in every direction, panicked and confused. Hyun had been a colonial security officer for 6 years. He had trained for pirate raids, but training and reality were very different things. All security too. The main hub, the radio crackled. We have hostile borders, they're taking people. Hyan sprinted toward the residential sector, his hand on his weapon. He rounded a corner and saw them, the Talviks, giant reptilian creatures, 7 feet tall. With thick scaled skin, they wore armor and carried weapons that crackled with energy, and they were hurting people. Human colonists, men, women, even children. One Talvik spotted Hyan. The creature raised its weapon, hand dove, behind a storage container as energy bolts tore through the air where he had been standing. His training screamed at him to fight, but he was one man with a basic security pistol against armored raiders. More screams, more weapons. Fire. Hyan watched helplessly as the Talviks forced 47 colonists onto their ship. He memorized everything: the ship markings, the direction they came from, the way the leader, a massive Talviks with red stripes on his armor, laughed, while his soldiers terrorized civilians. The raid lasted 20 minutes, then the Talviks were gone, their ship burning. Into the black sky, Hun stood among the wreckage of his colony. Around him, people wept and shouted. Someone called for medical help. Someone else searched for family members who were no longer there, but Hun was already moving to the communication center. The equipment was damaged but functional. He sent out one message on an encrypted Earth fleet channel, just coordinates and one word: taken 3,000 light years away on Earth. The message arrived. Lee Dana sat with 46 other prisoners in the cargo hold of the Talvik's ship. Her hands were bound with energy cuffs around her. People cried quietly. Some were injured from the rough handling. A young man beside her, maybe 20 years old, kept asking where they were going. Dana was a xenobiologist. She studied alien life for the colony's research station. Right now she was using those skills to study their captors. She watched how the Talviks moved. She listened to their language. She noted their routines. They think we're cargo, someone whispered, an older woman named Mrs. Han. They think we're weak, Dana replied quietly. That's a mistake. We are weak, a man said bitterly. Look at us tied up like animals. Dana shook her head. No, we're patient. There's a difference. The cargo hold door opened. The massive red striped Talviks entered. This was Warlord Cactus, the leader. He spoke in broken human language. You are property now. You worth much on slave markets. Easy prey, easy profit. He laughed. Terrible sound like rocks in a grinder. Your Earth fleet too far. Your colonies too weak. You forget you are small in galaxy. Dana met his eyes. You have no idea what you've done. Cactus leaned down, his breath hot and smelling of sulfur. I know exactly. I take weak humans. I sell weak humans. I become rich. Simple. He turned to leave, then stopped. Oh. And your communications all blocked. No one knows where you are. No one coming. The door sealed shut in the darkness. People wept harder, but Dana smiled. He's lying. They always lie. Low on the Galactic Council Station, Commander Vry stood before the assembled representatives, 12 different species, all looking at him with confusion and irritation. You want us to evacuate 3 entire sectors? Ambassador Threlix asked. The bird-like alien ruffled his feathers in agitation. For what reason? Mine, wearer, none. The Talvex cartel took human prisoners. Vry said flatly. The chamber filled with confused murmurs. Ambassador 3. Laughed humans, the small pink ones. Commander, with all respect, why would we evacuate anything for them? There. Barely a spacefaring race. Vries. Mandibles clicked together. I am transmitting historical files to all of you now. Review them. Ride. We don't have time for another. Ambassador started. Review them. Vraxis commanded. The room went silent for 10 minutes. The ambassadors read. The chamber grew very quiet. Someone gasped. Another made a sound of disbelief. This cannot be accurate, Ambassador. Thrick said quietly. They hunted pirates for 2 years across 40 systems. They did. Vries confirmed. Civilian vessels not. They're military, ordinary humans, all organized, all sharing information, all moving toward one goal. They did not stop until every captive was recovered and every pirate was marked. But why? Ambassador asked. The cost must have been enormous. For what? Revenge, not revenge. Vries said. Recovery. They wanted their people back, all of them. And they succeeded. Surely the Talvex know this history? Threlix asked. They do not, Vexus said, or they do not believe it matters. Warlord Cactus publicly boasted about taking easy human prey. He believes his fortress in the dead zone is unreachable. Another ambassador, a floating crystalline being, spoke in musical tones. Vries pulled up a star chart. Red dots appeared, thousands of them. These are human ships that have altered course in the last 12 hours, military and civilian, all moving toward the dead zone. They are not rushing, they are not panicking, they are organizing. The dots on the map multiplied. Thousands became tens of thousands, all converging slowly, methodically toward the same region of space. There. Building a network, Threlix whispered. Communication relay, supply chains. Intelligence gathering, yes, Vries said. This is how humans hunt. They are persistent pursuit predators. On their home world, they chased animals until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They tracked them for days, weeks if necessary. They never gave up, never stopped, and now they do the same thing. In space, the crystalline ambassadors. Light flickered nervously. What should we do? Stay out of their way, Vraxis said simply. Do not interfere, do not help the Talvex, do not try to negotiate. Let the humans do what they do and learn from what happens next. End quote. We have to our servant. End quote. This is madness. One ambassador protested. We cannot allow. You cannot stop it, Vries interrupted. That is what I am trying to make you understand. When humans decide to hunt, when they decide their people must be recovered, there is no force in this galaxy that can prevent it. You can only choose whether to stay out of the way or be trampled in the pursuit. Back on the Talvex ship, Dana continued watching her captors. She noted shift changes, weapon placements, weak points in the ship's design. Around her, the other captives had stopped crying. They were watching too, listening. They'll come for us, the young man whispered. Won't they? Dana nodded. They always do. We just need to be ready when they arrive. In the darkness of the cargo hold, 47 humans waited, not with fear, not with despair, but with the patient certainty of a species that knew exactly what was coming. The hunt had begun 20 years earlier. Commander Vries had been young, well, young for his species, only 40 cycles into his enforcement career. He thought he knew everything about the galaxy. He thought He understood which species mattered and which did not. The human merchant ship was small and unremarkable. It carried textiles and simple trade, goods between the outer colonies. Captain Song Junho had filed a report. With galactic enforcement, his daughter had been taken by slavers. A pirate lord named Thexan ran a network of slave ships that preyed on weak colonies. Vries had reviewed the case. One human female, age 16, taken from a transport station 3 weeks prior. The merchant captain wanted help. He wanted the Galactic Council to mobilize resources to find his daughter. Request denied. Vries had told him. The human stood in his office, this small pink creature barely reaching Vrous's chest. The council does not commit resources for single individuals, especially not from minor species. Song Junho had been quiet for a long moment. His face showed no anger, no shouting. Just a strange calm. So you will not help one correct, file a claim form if we happen to encounter the operations, we will attempt recovery. But we will not actively pursue. I see. Song Junho nodded slowly. Then we will handle it ourselves. Vries had almost laughed. This small human, with his civilian merchant ship, thought he could challenge the pirate lord. Commanded 15 warships, he had soldiers, weapons, and a fortress in the storm nebula that was considered unreachable. You will die if you try, Vries had warned. Maybe, Sun Junho replied, but I will find my daughter first. The human left. Vries forgot about him within an hour. There were more important cases to handle, more significant species to protect. Humans were barely worth notice in the galaxy's grand scheme. 3 months later, Vraxes started receiving strain reports. Human ships were appearing near known slavers, not military vessels, civilian traders, mining ships, colony transports. They did not attack, they just watched and they transmitted information. 6 months after that, the human network had grown. Everywhere Thexan's ships went, human vessels appeared. They stayed at maximum sensor range. They recorded everything: ship movement, supply transfers, navigation routes, and they shared it all with each other. Vries monitored the situation with growing interest. The humans were building something, a web of information that covered dozens of star systems. It was impressive in its own way, but surely Thexan would notice. Surely he would destroy these watchers. Thexan tried. He sent warships to attack the human observers, but the humans scattered before the attacks arrived. They were patient. They watched from safer distances, and when the warships left, the humans returned. Always watching, always recording, never stopping. 1 year into the pursuit, Thexan's operations began to fail. Supply shipments went missing. His buyers received wrong coordinates. His soldiers deserted because the routes to his fortress became known. The humans were not attacking directly. They were simply making it impossible for Thexan to operate in shadow. It is remarkable. Vries's superior had said, the humans are not using violence, they are using information and persistence. But to what end? Vries asked. One girl. They have spent enormous resources for one individual, not resources. His superior corrected. Time and coordination that cost them nothing but patience, and humans seem to have infinite patience when they choose. 18 months into the hunt, Thexan made a mistake. He tried to move to a new fortress. The humans tracked him, every ship, every soldier, every piece of cargo. Song Junho and LT Uncan GTS vessel was among the watchers now, broadcasting coordinates to hundreds of other human ships. 2 years after his daughter was taken, Song Junho made his move, but it was not what Vries expected. The merchant captain did not lead an attack himself. Instead, every human ship in the network descended on Thexan's new fortress. Simultaneously, hundreds of vessels, most were civilian. Some carried improvised weapons, others carried nothing but sensors and communication equipment, but they came with the support of Earth Fleet military vessels that had been moving into position for months. The humans had shared all their intelligence with their own military, every weakness in Thexan's defenses, every patrol route, every supply schedule. The attack was not brutal. It was surgical, precise. The human military knew exactly where the captives were held because civilian scouts had spent months gathering that information. They extracted every prisoner, not just Song Junho and LT Uncan GTS daughter, every captive Thexan held, 42 individuals from 7 different species. Then the humans did something that shocked the galaxy. They transmitted all their intelligence data to the Galactic Council, everything they had learned about Thexan's network. Names, locations, banking records, they gave it all freely. Why? Vraxis had asked Song Junho. Afterward, the merchant stood in his office again, his daughter safe beside him. Why share everything? You could have kept that intelligence, used it for leverage, because this is not about leverage, Song Junho replied. This is about making sure it does not happen again to anyone. Vries had studied the human carefully. You spent 2 years, hundreds of ships, countless hours of coordination for one person. For my person, see Junho corrected. That is what we have always done. Other species would calculate cost versus benefit. They would decide one individual was not worth the effort. Song Junho smiled, but it was not a happy expression. Then they do not understand humans. We do not calculate worth like that. When someone takes our people, we come for them, all of us. We organize, we persist, and we do not stop until they are home. That is, Vra struggled for words. Perhaps Junho agreed, but it means every human knows, anywhere in the galaxy, if they are taken, we will come, all of us. For as long as it takes. He turned to leave with his daughter. At the door he paused. You told me I would die if I tried. You were wrong, because I was never alone. That is what you do not understand about my species, Commander. We are never alone. Adet Vraxis had written a detailed report. He recommended the Galactic Council classify humans differently, not as a minor species, as something else, something the galaxy had not encountered before, a species that hunted not with strength or speed, but with memory and persistence, and an absolute refusal to abandon their own. The Council had ignored the report. Most species did not believe it. Humans still seemed weak, small, fragile. How could such creatures be threatening? Now, 20 years later, Vries stood in the present and watched the same pattern emerge. The Talvix had taken 47 humans, and already thousands of human ships were moving. Already the network was forming. Already the patient, terrible pursuit had begun. He had tried to warn the Talvix. He had tried to warn the Council, but some lessons must be learned through experience. Some truths must be witnessed to be believed. Vries pulled up his personal files. He added a new entry, the Talvex. Incident Day 1. He would document everything. Maybe this time the galaxy would listen. Maybe this time the other species would finally understand what he had learned 2 decades ago. Never chase humans, never take their people, because they were pursuit predators who evolved, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. And in space with ships instead of feet, with sensors instead of eyes, they had become something more terrifying than any predator the galaxy had ever known. They had become inevitable. Admiral Kim Tae-yang studied the tactical display in Earth Fleet Command. 47 red dots represented the taken colonists. Around them a web of blue dots showed human ships. Thousands of them and more were arriving every hour. Admiral, we have confirmation from the Soul Wanderer, a lieutenant reported. Captain Kang Minyu has visual on the Talvex supply routes in Sector 9. Good, add his data to the network. Tae-yang zoomed in on the dead zone region where the Talvex fortress hid. How many civilian vessels are participating? 8,246 at last count, sir. Merchants, mining ships, colony transports, even private yachts, all sharing sensor data. Tae-yang nodded. This was how humanity worked. When one of them was taken, all of them responded, not because of orders, not because of duty, but because of something deeper, something built into their species over millions of years of evolution. Sir, we have fleet elements ready for immediate assault. Another officer said. We can hit the Talvex fortress within 3 days. No, Tae-yang said firmly. We do not rush. We plan, we prepare, we make sure that when we move, we recover every single captive safely. But sir, every day we wait. Every day we wait, we gather more intelligence. We map more escape routes. We close more exits. Tae-yang looked at his officers. The Talvex expect violence. They expect rage. They are prepared for a fight, so we will give them something they cannot prepare for. We will give them patience. 3,000 light years away, Sunung Murray sat in a small ship watching a Talvex communications relay. She was special operations, intelligence gathering. She had spent years learning how to infiltrate alien networks. Her fingers moved across holographic interfaces, cracking encryption codes. The Talvex security was good, but not good enough. They had never faced human information warfare before. They did not understand how thoroughly humans could penetrate systems when motivated. I'm in, she whispered into her secure channel, accessing their communication logs now. Back at Fleet Command, Yun Jun received her data. He was an information warfare specialist, a digital hunter. He took the codes Myra provided and began spreading viruses through the Talvex network. Not destructive viruses, subtle ones. They changed coordinates by small amounts. They delayed messages by minutes. They introduced tiny errors into navigation data. The Talvex will not notice immediately, Ji-Yun explained to Admiral Tae-yang. But over time, their operations will fail. Supply ships will arrive at wrong location. Messages will reach recipients too late. They will begin to doubt their own systems. Psychological warfare, Tae-yang observed, the best kind. Ji-Yun agreed. On the Talvex fortress, Warlord Cactus was beginning to feel that fear. Small things kept going wrong. A supply ship arrived 3 days late. Communication with his buyers cut out at crucial moments. His sensors Reported ships at the edge of scanning range, but when he sent patrols to investigate, the ships vanished. What are these humans doing? He demanded of his second-in-command. They are just watching, my lord. Civilian vessels, no weapons, they flee when we approach. Then why do they keep coming back? Cuss smashed his fist against the console. Why are there more of them every day? His second-in-command had no answer. The truth was unsettling. Everywhere they looked, human ships appeared, not attacking, not threatening, just present, always watching, always recording. It was like being hunted by ghosts. In the cargo hold of the fortress, Lee Dana continued her quiet rebellion. She had memorized the guard rotation schedules. She knew which systems were critical and which were redundant, and slowly, carefully, she began sabotaging things. A maintenance panel left slightly loose, a cooling vent blocked with torn cloth, small acts that would not be noticed immediately, but would compound over time. The other captives watched and learned. They began their own small acts of resistance. Life support in Section 3 is failing. Young man named Park Sin-ho whispered, I worked on environmental systems for the colony. I can make it look like normal. Where do it? Dana replied, but slowly. We need them uncomfortable, not desperate. Mrs. Han, the older woman, had been watching the guards. They are nervous. Something is changing outside. They keep checking their weapons and looking at the doors. The hunt is closing, Dana said with quiet confidence. Our people are coming. Captain Kang Min-yu sat in the Seoul Wanderer, monitoring communications. His ship was part of a relay network. Now hundreds of civilian vessels passing information back and forth. Ship movements, supply routes, defensive positions. Every human ship contributed what they could see, and together they built a complete picture. Captain Earth Fleet is broadcasting new coordination protocols, Park Ji-woo said. They want us to move to position Delta 7. Min-yu checked the coordinates. It was another observation point closer to the dead zone. They're tightening the net. Are we really going to just watch? Not fight, Ji asked. We are fighting, Min-yu corrected. Every ship. Here is a message to the Talvex. They cannot move without us seeing. They cannot operate without us knowing. We are showing them that they are surrounded, that there is no escape. That is the most effective weapon we have. Admiral Taeying sent abroad transmission to all Talvex channels. It was not encrypted. He wanted everyone to hear. This is Admiral Kim Taeying of Earth Fleet. We know you have 47 human citizens. We know where you are. We know your defenses. We know your supply lines. We know everything about your operations. He paused. Release them now, and we will consider mercy. Continue to hold them, and we will demonstrate what happens when you take our people. Warlord Cactus received the message. He laughed, but the sound was forced. I have the most secure fortress in the dead zone. Let them come. My defenses will destroy any fleet they send. But his second-in-command was looking at the sensor displays, at the thousands of blue dots surrounding them. My lord, they are not attacking. They are just waiting. So what? Crackus snarled. Let them wait. They will grow tired. They will leave. Humans have short attention spans. The second-in-command said nothing, but he had been reading the intelligence reports, the historical data. He knew what the Talvex leadership refused to accept. Humans did not have short attention spans, not when it came to their own people. They would wait for years if necessary. Cho-hun arrived in the system aboard a military transport. After sending his message from Haven 7, he had joined the rescue operation. He met with Admiral Taeyang. Personally, I know the captives, Hyun said. I know their names, their faces. Let me be part of the extraction team. Taeyang looked at the security officer. Young, angry, determined. You understand. This is not about revenge, I understand. It is about bringing them home, Hyun replied. All of them, that is all I want. Then welcome to the operation. Taeyang said, we move in 72 hours, not before. We will have every detail mapped, every contingency planned, and when we go in, we will be perfect. 72 hours, 3 days. It seemed like a long time, but compared to the 2 years humans had hunted before, it was nothing. Time meant nothing to a species that measured persistence in years. The Talvik's fortress was already surrounded, already isolated, already defeated. They just did not know it yet. Commander Vries watched from his enforcement ship. At the edge of the system, he recorded everything, the slow, methodical approach, the network of information, the patient, inevitable closing of the trap. This was humanity at war, not with violence first, but with coordination and persistence, and an absolute refusal to accept any outcome except complete success. Terrifying, he whispered to himself. The galaxy needs to see this. They need to understand. The countdown had begun, not to an attack, but to the conclusion of a hunt that had been inevitable from the moment the Talk made their fatal mistake. The Talvik's fortress sat in the dead zone like a castle made of metal and weapons. Around it, 8,000 human ships waited. They did not move, they did not attack, they just existed. A wall of observers that made escape impossible. Inside the fortress, Warlord Krakus paced. 30 days had passed since he took the humans. 30 days of watching supplies dwindle. 30 days of systems failing in small, irritating ways. 30 days of human ships appearing everywhere he looked. My lord, another supply convoy has failed to arrive. His second-in-command reported. That is the fourth this week. How Cactus roared. We sent the correct coordinates. The coordinates were correct, but they second-in-command hesitated. The navigation data had small errors. The ships arrived at locations 50,000 km off target by the time they corrected. Human vessels were waiting. The supply ships fled rather than risk confrontation. Croy slammed his claws against the wall. These humans, they do not fight. They do not attack, they just watch. What are they waiting for? In the cargo hold, Lena knew exactly what they were waiting for. The humans were waiting for the Talviks to break, to panic, to make mistakes, and it was working. The guards were nervous now, exhausted. The life support was failing in sections of the fortress because Dana and the other captives had been quietly sabotaging systems for weeks. How much longer? Young Parko whispered. Soon. Dana replied. Listen, the sounds of the fortress had changed. More alarms, more shouting, more confusion. The Talviks were losing control, and they knew it. S. Meyer watched her monitors from her hidden ship. The viruses she had planted were fully active now. Every system in the Talvik's fortress was compromised, not destroyed, just unreliable. Temperature controls fluctuated. Doors opened and closed randomly. Communication channels filled with static at crucial moments. The fortress is ready, she transmitted to Fleet Command. All their systems are Vulnerable, we can cut life support. Navigation. Weapons, everything whenever you give. The word, Admiral Kim Tae-yang studied the tactical display one final time. 72 hours have become 30 days, 30 days of preparation, 30 days of gathering intelligence, 30 days of closing every possible escape route. Now finally the trap was complete. All units, this is Admiral Tae-yang. He broadcast on the command channel. We have confirmation that all 47 captives are in the main cargo hold. Section 12. We have mapped every corridor. We have compromised every system. We have eliminated every variable we can control. Now we finish this, Captain. Kang Min-yu received the signal aboard the Soul Wanderer. Around him, 8,000 other civilian ships received it too. They would not participate in the assault. That was for the military, but they would bear witness. They would record everything, and they would make sure the galaxy saw what happened when you took humans. The Earth fleet military vessels moved forward, not in a rush, not in a charge, but with the steady, methodical advance of hunters who knew their prey was already caught. They surrounded the fortress at optimal weapons range and waited. Admiral Tae-yang sent one final message to Warlord Cactus. This is your last chance. Release the captive, surrender your fortress, and face Galactic Council justice, or we will demonstrate why Commander Vries warned you to never chase humans. Cracktys watched the human fleet on his screens. He had built this fortress to withstand any assault. His weapons were powerful, his shields were strong. He could fight, he could win. He had to believe that. All weapons fire, he commanded. The Talvex fortress unleashed everything it had. Energy weapons tore through space. Missiles screamed toward the human fleet. It was an impressive display of firepower for about 30 seconds. Vert 60, verting 60. Then Yun Jae-hyun pressed a button at fleet command. Every virus sun Myra had planted activated simultaneously. The fortress weapons stopped firing. The targeting systems crashed. The power grid flickered and died. In the span of 3 seconds, the mighty Talvex fortress became a floating piece of metal with no defenses. Sir, their shields are down. Weapons offline, life support failing. A lieutenant reported, assault teams go. Tae-yang ordered, you know your targets. Recover every captive. 0 casualties. Cho Hyun was in the first assault shuttle. It docked with the fortress exterior and the team breached the hull with cutting tools. No explosive, no unnecessary violence, just precision. They moved through corridors they had memorized from intelligence reports. Every turn, every door, every guard position. The Talvex guards tried to resist, but their weapons did not work. Their communication did not work. Their doors did not work. The humans moved through the fortress like water flowing downhill. Inevitable, unstoppable, efficient. Hyen reached the cargo hold. The door was sealed, but his team had the override codes. It opened with a hiss. Inside, 47 humans looked up. Some were afraid, some were injured, but all of them were alive. Colonial Security Officer Cho Hun, Haven 7, he said, we are here to bring you home, all of you. Lee Dana stood, helping Mrs. Han to her feet. Took you long enough, she said. With a tired smile, we had to be thorough, Hyen replied. Can everyone walk? We will manage, Dana said. We have been waiting for this moment. The extraction took 12 minutes. The assault. Teams moved all 47 captives to the shuttle. Medical personnel checked each one, not a single human casualty. Perfect execution. Warlord Croctus was dragged from his command center by human soldiers. He struggled and screamed, "You cannot do this. I am Talvix. I am powerful." Admiral Taeying appeared on his communication screen. "You were powerful past tense. Now you are evidence. The Galactic Council will receive complete documentation of your crimes, but more importantly, the galaxy will receive complete documentation of what happens when you take our people. You destroyed my fortress, my power, my legacy." No, Taeying corrected. "You destroyed yourself the moment you thought humans were weak prey. We simply demonstrated the consequences." The human fleet withdrew, taking the captives to safety and the Talvex prisoners to the Galactic Council for trial, but they did not stop there. Over the next 3 months, human vessels visited every port, every station, every world where the Talvex cartel had operated. They shared all the intelligence they had gathered, names, accounts, operations, everything. The Talvex cartel collapsed, not because humans destroyed it with violence, but because humans made it impossible to operate in shadow. They exposed everything, and they did it freely, asking for nothing in return. Commander Vries presented his complete documentation to the Galactic Council. Every species representative watched the recordings, the patient network building, the information warfare, the psychological pressure, the perfect assault, the zero casualty rescue, all of it. "This is why I warned you," Vraxis said to the silent chamber. "This is why I told you to never chase humans, not because they are the strongest, not because they have the best weapons or the biggest fleets, but because when you take their people, they do not calculate cost versus benefit. They do not consider if it is worth the effort. They simply come." Ambassador Threelick spoke quietly. "They crossed the galaxy for 47 individuals. They would have crossed it for one." Vries replied, "That is what you must understand. Every human anywhere in the galaxy knows that if they are taken, their species will come, all of them, for as long as it takes, with infinite patience and absolute determination. That knowledge makes them fearless, and that fearlessness makes them terrifying." Another ambassador asked, "But why share all their intelligence with us? Why give away such valuable information?" "Because they do not want leverage," Vraxis explained. "They want prevention. They want other species to see what happens, to learn, to understand that taking humans is not profitable, it is not wise, it is not survivable. They give the information freely because they would rather prevent future incidents than profit from past ones." The Galactic Council voted unanimously to reclassify humanity. No longer a minor species, no longer insignificant. The new classification read, "Pursuit. Predators. Extreme caution required. Do not engage in hostile action against individuals. Do not take captives. Species. Demonstrates unlimited persistence in recovery operations on Haven 7 colony." The 47 returned home. "We were lucky," someone said. "No," Dana corrected. "Luck had nothing to do with it. This is who we are. This is what we do." Captain Kang Minyu sat aboard the Soul Wanderer, resuming his normal trade routes. Park Jiu looked at him. "Was it worth it? 30 days of our time, the lost revenue." Minyu did not hesitate. Every second was worth it. They were our people. That makes it worth everything. Across the galaxy the story spread, in bars and trading posts and diplomatic meetings. Beings whispered the new truth: never chase humans, never hunt them, never take their people, not because humans were violent, not because they were cruel, but because they were patient, persistent, and they would never ever stop coming. Commander Vries updated his personal files one final time. He added a simple note: humanity has taught the galaxy an important lesson. The most terrifying predator is not the one with the sharpest claws or the biggest weapons. It is the one that never stops hunting, the one that crosses any distance, waits any duration, pays any cost to recover what is theirs. Humans are that predator, and the galaxy should be grateful they only use this ability to protect their own, not to conquer others, because if they ever decided to hunt for different reasons, Vries wrote, no force in the galaxy could stop them. He closed the file and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships moved through space, trading, exploring, living peacefully, but always watching, always ready, always prepared to become what they evolved to be when necessary. Pursuit predators who never forgot and never gave up, and the galaxy would never make the mistake of forgetting that truth.